Alright, today for my world geography assignment, I will be making a Nepalese dessert, and coincidentally, they also like chocolate chip cookies there. Originally, I was going to make whatever that is, but since we didn't have deep fried stuff and it also failed, I had to revert to my backup plan, which is chocolate chip cookies, which are great because they're enjoyed all around the world. So let's get started. So the first ingredient I will need is butter. So we will put that in right there. Alright, so our next ingredient that we're going to put in along with the butter is going to be a half a cup of sugar. And so we will just pour that right in there. Right, so now that we got that in there, we will also take our brown sugar and pour that in. And then close this, lock it, and wait for it to be finished mixing. It's going to mix into this nice, like, creamy sort of thing. And so this is basically going to mix into a nice little compact dough, but just remember this is just butter, sugar, and brown sugar. So just 2 sugars mixed with butter. Alright, so that looks like it's done mixing. I will grab my spatula right here, and we're just gonna scrape any of the excess off so it will mix better. Trust me, I've done this 100 times before, not exaggerating. So next, what we're going to do is we are going to put in the wet ingredients, the other wet ingredients. So first, we have this vanilla extract, and we're just gonna pour that in there carefully. All right, now that we got the vanilla extract in there, we're gonna take the eggs. It's 2 beat eggs and the vanilla extract. All right, so now we have our other wet ingredients in there, and we're just gonna let that mix. All right, after this is done mixing, we're gonna take a teaspoon of baking soda and just carefully pour that in there. Okay, and we also want half a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of salt. If you put too much salt in here, then it will start tasting really bad and too salty. I know sweet and salty sounds like a good thing, but not in these cookies. As you can see, we got our wet ingredients mixing nicely, and we got this wetter dough, which we will now add more dry ingredients to. All right, now we're gonna stop this, and we are going to take our next ingredients, which is some flour and chocolate chips. So first, we will mix in the flour very slowly because we don't want a cloud of flour in our kitchen. I'm spilling a little bit, but it's fine. This flour comes up easily. And now we got this dry, more cookie-like dough. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift this up and just scrape the dough back in there so the flour can mix into it nicely. You just wanna do this every few ingredients or so, or when it starts clumping in the middle. Now, usually these would also have nuts in them, but I ran out of nuts and also food allergies, so we're just gonna carefully mix these chocolate chips in. Now, a lot of recipes will tell you to basically stir these in. I like to mix them and then stir them in with a spatula. I just find that easier. Now, before you started, you want to make sure that you preheated your oven to 375 so that the cookies can be made faster. So what we're gonna do is we're now gonna take this bowl out of here and move our mixer. So after we take the bowl off, we're just gonna wanna mix all the chocolate chips in until they're not as clumped anymore. You don't have to do this too much. It shouldn't be too hard. So once you have that done, you're gonna wanna get a baking sheet out and the scooper. If you don't have a scoop, then you can just do basically golf ball sized cookies and then put them on here. And you might have to use cooking spray, but I have these non-stick silicone sheets that I'm using, so I skipped one less step. Okay, now that we have these scooped, we're just gonna repeat the process that we did before, which is parchment paper on, and just squish each one down, and you should have some of the roundest cookie doughs. Like that, very quick process. All right, so once the oven is preheated, remember 375. You're just gonna stick the cookies in without sizzling your flesh off. All right, and once your cookies are in, just set the timer for the time you see on screen. All right, once your cookies are done, you're just gonna put them on a cooling rack, like over here, let them cool, scoop them off onto a plate, and then you'll be good to go in Indian in no time. That's about it. I hope I get 100 on this.